So we have left Delta Force behind to perform their forgetful sacrifice because they're a forgetful squad.
The Soviets
Forget
our troops.
The Bell violated the International Outer Space Treaty, and apparently the CIA used that to pressure Russia into signing the Broad Island Agreement with the US and Japan.
So America, Japan, and Russia all get rights to mine uranium. Everybody wins.
Yep.
Right.
That's basically how the whole Kessler Syndrome could even get started, because Russia planned for it 50 years prior.
The head of the Sod.
So there's our villain.
Was a retired Soviet lieutenant general.
That is one hell of a beard.
Oh yeah.
Through his army connections.
I get the feeling like if he turned his head upside down, he would still resemble a normal human being. Just with you crazy Don King hair.
Yeah, that's about where he'd like it.
Really big fan of the 1960s.
Yeah, 60s or 70s, pretty much. You know, back in the good old USSR days.
In Russia, we just got bell-bottom flares last Wednesday.
So I said around the end of Mission 5 that while that one was the objective best in the game, it was not actually my favorite. This is my favorite because we get quickly introduced to like a string of very crazy circumstances in this one. I mean, this one's already pretty crazy. We're flying a World War II era like two-seater plane against a bunch of modern attack choppers.
This is some James Bond shit right here.
This also counts as a turret sequence, and thankfully it's like pretty short, assuming that you are good enough at doing like at taking down all these helicopters. Like the length that it goes for is entirely determined by how many of these choppers you shoot down.
You know what? I'm gonna allow it because this is at least halfway interesting.
Yeah, we also get a whole lot of Ivan just like trying to put pithy one-liners out there every time he downs a chopper. Sounding a lot more like a Russian Duke Nukem, if anything.
Hasn't made anywhere near as many movie references.
Yeah, not yet.
Shit, they just keep gas.
But now this is where things get especially silly. Wait till you see who's in the cockpit.
This had better be Big Mouse.
What the hell? Is that Caraway?
Yeah.
It's Captain Rollface.
Seems our Baron brought this flying circus.
Why couldn't it have been Mr. Pickles?
No, this is even better because he's just rounded up a bunch of old World War II vets to like fly these pre-electronic planes. Because guess what? All modern aircraft don't fucking work. Like, straight up, and they're holding their own. Like, this actually like doubles as like one of my more favorite tropes in any medium, which is just showing that when they're committed, the elderly can still kick ass.
Fly low.
Out of your mind.
I am a big fan of the whole breaking out the museum pieces thing.
Yeah, I've been like doing a very quick dive out of the plane because it's like. I mean, he already dove out of an AC-130 shirtless. Like, he's like, this is normal for him. So yeah.
It's just pissed off he couldn't do it from orbit.
The concept of this mission is us storming a Cold War era cosmodrome with like 20th century-esque like military installation and fixtures, all while modern attack choppers are dogfighting against World War II era bombers. This is like the Call of Duty crossover game we've been hoping for years. This is like
I'm pulling out.
This to me is the end result of what Itagaki wanted to go for with the Kessler Syndrome as this game's backdrop. Like what do you think seriously would happen if such a thing were to happen like in our modern times? Like he described it as basically like makes it very clear that like this sort of like safe, long-range, hyper-targeted warfare with like drone strikes and whatever would not be possible anymore in such a situation, and that more close-range tactics would have to become used again. But I never imagined it going to this degree.
Yeah, in real life it would basically be the equivalent of, you know, back alley knife fights rather than, you know, Hawking Harrier jets from the 1940s.
Yeah, all the while we're on the ground and, you know, when it's close
Taking
range...
out pillboxes.
Yeah, and when it's not just, like, you know, just, like, back alley knife fights, because, like, we got guns, but we also got, like, quite an eclectic array of melee weapons to choose from if we want. Like,
I feel that...
This is what the Kessler Syndrome would result in. It's a world of anachronisms.
Yeah. I kind of feel that if this was made anywhere else than Japan, this would be the triumphant Americans coming out to beat those nasty ratsies.
Oh, that's absolutely what it's trying to be. I mean, you can hear the fucking music that's playing through this entire level.
Yeah, it's oddly subversive that it's actually a Russian dude that's doing this.
Yeah, like he's like the one main hero that's on the front lines.
Yeah, some Russian dickbag with too many tattoos.
Mm-hmm. There's some Russian dickhead who's a bit more Buddhist than you would expect.
Yeah. Well, you know what to say, if on the path you encounter the Buddha, murder everyone.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there was technically the Neo, which was like they were all but like a pair of like super aggressive badasses that fought specifically so that Buddha wouldn't have to. Which, I mean, that's pretty good, honestly. That's a good way to get around being like a whole pacifist. Like, if you personally don't want to be the one to like wage war or whatever, just have someone do it on your behalf so you can continue promoting peace.
Just reminds me of that bit in, I think it's in Firefly. Where one of the characters is a shepherd, who's like a futuristic equivalent of a priest.
Yeah.
Like, I thought he picks up a gun, and like, I thought you know, swore an oath of non-violence. He's like, well, the good book's a bit fuzzy on the subject of kneecaps.
That's a good point.
Don't kill, just go for the legs. Oh, it solves all your problems.
Mm-hmm. I will say, though, like, this mission, especially coming off of what we experienced in the previous one, it's not as hard, but it is, you know, considering that we're near the end of the game, this is still on, like, the harder side of things. Like, these opening, like, trench runs are actually, like, the hardest part of the mission, because there's at least one heavy gunner in each one.
Plus, the pillboxes are pelting you from 3 or 4 different directions at once.
Yeah, and that one that I'm like charging to is like extra dangerous. Like, even with M'Baku, they just hit so rapidly and so hard that like I'm pretty sure it's like on multiple occasions has actively outstripped my ability to gain M'Baku with my own damage rate.
Yeah, seems that the strategy is mostly just run to the top and then work your way back.
Yeah, for this one specifically, that is absolutely true. Like anything that is like specifically labeled at like as a target on your HUD should very much be like the primary focus first, and then work on clearing out the enemies before moving on.
Just every time you slide past the two, you know, like any melee guys going for the guy with the gun, just kind of picture them going, where the fuck's he going?
Yeah.
No, I'm over here. Oh, sorry, Gary.
Yeah, it's like, good God, how is the leather on his ass, like riding his ass, just not gone frayed to shit?
Oh, those aren't leather pants, my friend. All natural butt leather.
Yes. Perfect bald butt leather, man. It's a shame I'm not doing. It's a shame that I'm not doing jokey like video titles for this LP on like Shadows of the Damned, because otherwise that would be one of them.
Fuck it, edit and post.
Yeah. That was quite an interesting result on that aim lock, in which, like, he just knocked it out of my hand right before landing. I mean, it's kind of cool, even though it wasn't the result I was wanting. But
yeah,
it's those little dynamic touches, really.
So the soundtrack sounds like it's trying to do Ride of the Valkyries, but doesn't really have the oomph yet.
It's legally distinct Ride of the Valkyries.
How the hell did you get them here?
It's like Ride of the Valkyries before it had its coffee.
Yeah. It's still waking up.
We broke some carriers out of mothballs. The Independence and the Constellation.
So yeah, not just the jets, like, they literally got, like, even, like, old-ass, like, previously decommissioned aircraft carriers. Like, yeah. Mothballs, that's an actual term.
We got the USS Bill Clinton out of storage. It's mostly just filled with garbage.
Yeah. Weirdly enough, the captain of it originally had a whole lot of, like, sexual, like, harassment allegations. Like,
Weird.
Yeah, they were all just stuffed in a locker back there. We have no idea why he left them.
Probably for the next captain to pick up his sword, so to speak.
So here's a little interesting diversion. We don't get, like, in this section, like, a chain gun or the, like, targeted missile launcher. Instead, our grenades get replaced with something that's very useful for this, which is making, like, a smoke marker, so that, you know, because there are planes up above that don't have modern electronics, we need to give them a signal for where to actually, like, launch the bombs.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's neat. I actually, like, I remember when I was watching through this, and because it's like one of those special, like, limited ones, I was honestly trying to remember whether or not this was in multiplayer, but no, I think there was like an airstrike option of some kind that was like this similar effect, but not with the smoke markers. Anyway, I was briefly confused here because of where I was positioned. I did not realize that second tank was already destroyed because the two target markers were basically overlapping just from the angle I was at.
I saw you toss the first two and I was like, shouldn't that be dead by now?
Yeah, and it turns out it was.
It'd be a bit clearer.
Yeah, because otherwise, like, whether it's on top of it or just a couple feet away from the tank, like, the blast radius is, like, it's always going to be, like, heavy enough to actually, like, finish it. Now, this is an interesting room right here. Not so much for, like, score attack purposes, but if you were to play this game and try and get all the war trophies. This is, I kid you not, the only one in the game in which there is a hidden specific requirement you have to meet in order to get it. At the end of this hallway, there is a door on our right that if we were to just charge through, it would stay closed. Instead, you would have to, like wait for, like, you have to basically kill enemies and then more of them funnel out of that door, and then after a certain amount come through that door, which I feel in my experience was always based on, like, instinct and not really any specific numbers, like I just didn't keep track. Eventually you can charge down, go through that door because it will be open, and there's one of the war trophies.
That seems needlessly complicated.
It is, especially when it's the only one of its type.
Yeah,
but that
forcing
said,
you to look up a guide for that sort of thing is bullshit.
But that said, this does lead to, like, something that does kind of affect it in score attack mode, which means that because you can spawn more enemies by hanging back as opposed to charging forward, that means we kind of have to be a bit skillful with our gun kills. This was a bit scary considering I was not even close to having a full M'Baku meter and I could have just died at any point. Again, you gotta take risks.
Unfortunately, you seem to have misplaced both your guns. Oh no, wait, there they are.
Yeah. So yeah, I didn't wait long enough for that door to be open, but it's not like I needed to get anything out of there. What matters is that I got a full M'Baku meter, which is necessary for this room.
Just caused that poor bastard to explode on the spot.
That's the power of breakfast. That's technically what it, like, translates to. Like, if anyone, like, had watched Chaos Argate's LP of this originally, like, like, him and, like, his co-commentators, like, they had, like, tried to figure out, like, what M'Baku translate to, and, like, whatever translation they landed on, it came out to breakfast.
Besides shredded wheat, then.
Yeah, the power of oats. Insert.
So that's why you don't.
Insert
that's why you
slightly mean-spirited joke about how Itagaki's face looks like an oatmeal cookie.
See, I was gonna make a joke about the Quaker Oats guy, but no, you had to go make it personal.
Hey, I wasn't the first to make it. The internet did that like 15 fucking years ago.
And the internet is full of dicks. Haven't we learned anything?
True. I mean, it is kind of mean, but at the same time, like, I still kind of laugh a bit every time I hear it.
It's like there's only 3 good people in the internet, and I'm pretty sure one of them's Keanu Reeves.
Yeah. More bats. Itagaki must really have, like, some deep-seated trauma regarding bats that he puts them in as enemies in his games.
He does not like them.
Yeah, it's just... Frankly, because I remember playing this and, like, being surprised by how late into the game these things still kept showing up, that I was honestly surprised by the end that he did not put in any ghost fish.
It's like, with the bat thing, it's never just like 1 or 2. It's always swarms of them you can massacre en masse.
Yeah, because if you don't, they'll just massacre you en masse.
Yeah. Guess he's not a DC fan.
Yeah. God, that just reminds me how, like Team Ninja fucked up so hard with Ninja Gaiden 3, with one of them minor, but I'd say still important reasons being that they just completely removed Ghost Fish from that series. Like, no,
yes,
that
was the problem with it.
well, it was one of, but I'd say it's still important because an important aspect of Ninja Gaiden is inflicting raw, unfiltered trauma on its poor players. It's the only way to, like, separate the wheat from the chaff. The wheat in this case being the people that are actually good enough to play on the high difficulties and, like, be pro ninjas. So this is, I'm going to call Devil's Third equivalent to the staircase. If you play Ninja Gaiden 2 or watch my LP of it, you know exactly what I refer to when I say the staircase.
Wow, this is just a mincing machine.
Yeah, and the best part is, like, that's the highest kill streak you've seen, and the score bonuses, like, stop displaying once I hit 20. This also got, like, dangerously low in the frame rate category when you played it on the Wii U. Because look at how many dudes are going by. Like, this isn't just a game anymore. This is fucking EDF.
The dudes, the rubble, the particle effects, the smoke,
the fact that
the shots.
The fact that this was still, like, playing and recording on my setup at 30 FPS is like a miracle.
It's like in Hot Shots Part 2, where towards the end they do a Rambo pastiche.
Oh,
where he just starts murdering everyone. It's like the bloodiest movie ever!
So that tank is a bit peculiar because you can't kill it yourself. It does damage you, but it never kills you itself. The heavy gunners can if you let them, which is why you kind of have to focus on them first. So you have to wait for that one dogfighter to just suicide bomb it.
I think at the end of that, the score just sort of went, yeah, you're good, like, whatever.
Yeah.
It's not even going to bother counting.
It's a shame, too, because I really wish that they had, like, kept making more, like, of those number graphics for the kill streak.
Yeah, considering how, like, the combo would keep going through cutscenes, I think it would be going to the end of the game.
I mean, that would make it even better. So now we got, like, foot soldiers backing us up here. They're Dev Gru instead of just Delta Force. Which I guess they're technically supposed to be, like, part of the same umbrella, the difference being that, like, Delta Force is supposed to be more secretive and, like, keep their, like, identities classified, but these are just more like, these are more, like, official on the level.
Yeah, there is some kind of official definition of what the different groups are, but who cares?
Yeah.
Everyone just loves Delta Force because they sound badass.
Yeah.
Because Chuck Norris played him in a movie once.
Solid delivery on that line, buddy. But hey, we also
Where
get a
Bastard
little
was being devoured
reprise.
by the floor.
We get a little surprise of our, you know, air-to-ground missile.
Stinger missile.
Yeah. Yeah, not to be confused with like ground to air, you know, because it's like it shoots up first into the air and then goes back down to the ground.
Yeah, gotta be real careful with that in some games.
I still like
just
and it's funny too because I made the EDF comparison back at like the big
Yeah,
turret sequence, but like
exactly
the way
what
he
I was
holds
thinking.
it and the fact that like it never like you can't switch to your melee weapon at all. Your back is like fixed in that position, so it just immediately makes me think of whenever you're playing as any of the EDF soldiers.
Yeah, so many times I've used like a rocket launcher in that and forgotten to compensate for the fact it drops when you fire it.
Yeah.
It's just like, oh, there go my ankles again.
There them warbirds go.
Effing chat, boys.
So there's one more bit to this level, and it's an actual boss fight this time after going through 2 missions that didn't end with one. And this solidifies this level's my favorite in terms of just pure ridiculousness.
It feels like you could have cut this level in half and nothing would have really been lost. It just seems to keep going.
Yeah. But check this out.
Oh my god, it's the Fury.
It's the Fury Strog. Yeah.
What?
And this guy has like a Russian name and I'm not even gonna bother pronouncing, so I just call it Fury Strog. Cause like again, it's that god awful like fusion of like biological and like machine.
It's like the Ustinak fucked a toaster.
But wait, he's got friends with him, as you'll find. Mr. Pickles lives!
Woo!
And he got his friends with him.
Yay! It's the Pickles reunion.
Okay, yeah, I guess it's somewhat pronounceable, Sovereignty, but I don't know, it probably sounds like something that you're better at describing than I would.
Well, like I said, I think like the Ustinak fucked a toaster's probably a good way of describing it.
Yeah. So, this is actually, funny enough, a boss that actively switches out whatever your weapon loadout is to, like, the given weapons. Your, like, Scar H assault rifle and an RPG. Like, your first instinct would to be, oh, I'll just use the RPG to shoot at it, but it likes to dodge around a lot. So, it's more practical to take your assault rifle and expend as much of its ammo as possible. And then, if possible, use the rocket launcher to finish it, because you still get points for boss kills. And RPG kills obviously give more points than just shooting a regular bullet.
It seems like it's better at close range than distance.
Yeah. And, like, you could technically go out of your way to kill the Mr. Pickles, but, like, it's really not practical, even if you wanted to, like, farm for points here, because of that dude just, like, constantly peppering you with rockets, and I did not have M'Baku to work with during it.
Also, oh my god, you killed Sovereignty.
And that will actually be the end of these Chimera mutants. Like, Mission 4 was the focus of them, but, like, that boss was just, like, a brief reprise of, like, hey, you didn't forget about us, right? At least it wasn't the regular zombies. Like, I'm glad that those weren't there.
And flights of pickles send thee to thy rest.
Yes. That's what you didn't see. It was all the Mr. Pickles picking up Sovereignty's corpse and just carrying it out to, like, to an astronomical, like, style burial. Just without the coffin.
Just like the penguin at the end of Batman Returns.
Yeah, they were doing the coffin dance, but without the coffin, so it was just carrying the corpse.
Kind of funny. Leaving my peacemaker in the hands of an ex-terrorist.
For a second there, I thought you said pacemaker, and I was like, what the hell is he doing in the army with a fucking pacemaker?
Freedom. Justice. It's all up to you now. We're with you, brother. Just remember one thing.
What's that?
Don't fuck it up.
Will do. Also, my cousin's name is Gregory, not Nikolai. Seriously, I do not appreciate your insensitive jokes made by you and your team.
Wait, when you said okay, do you mean you are gonna fuck it up or you're not gonna fuck it up? This is important.
Well, the missiles have flown, so I'm going to say yes, I already have.
Well, we're already a bit too late.
Yeah. So that's it. That was my favorite mission of the game. It's so silly.
Wow.
Yeah.
Is all I can say.
Last mission's coming up, and it's got, like I said, the final boss, which is tied with Saha for best in the game, so you can look forward to that.